My finger hovered over my daughter's name on the screen. Her profile photo from last Christmas, laughing, wine glass raised, arm around her husband, stared back at me from the glow of my phone. The kitchen was dark except for that light. Margaret had always kept a lamp on in the evenings, said darkness made a house feel abandoned. I hadn't turned on the lamp in 11 days. Outside, November rain tapped against the window above the sink. The kind of rain that doesn't commit. Just a steady, miserable drizzle that makes everything look gray. In Sudbury, November is its own kind of punishment. I pressed call. 4 rings. 5. Dad. Her voice came through with noise behind it. Music. The clink of glasses. I'm calling about your mother. I know. She lowered her voice slightly, but not enough. It's just, we're at Colin's thing. His promotion dinner. You knew about this. She's asking for you. Every day now. A pause. Laughter somewhere behind her. Someone's story reaching a punchline. Dad, I was there 2 weeks ago. 10 days, I said. You were here 10 days ago. 10 days, I said. You were here 10 days ago. That's basically 2 weeks. I stood up from the kitchen table. Couldn't sit anymore. She had wires coming out of her now. The oxygen, the IV. She looks at the door every time it opens. Don't. Her voice went flat. Don't do that to me. Do what? Tell you the truth? You're guilt-tripping me. Her husband said something in the background and she laughed. Brief, automatic, then caught herself. Look, I'll come Wednesday. I promise. Today is Sunday. I'm aware of what day it is. She has maybe a month. Dr. Arsenault said, Dad, stop. I can't do this right now. Colin's whole team is here, and I'm standing in a hallway, and this is, I'll come Wednesday. I said I'll come. Okay. My voice came out flatter than I intended. Wednesday. And she hung up. I set the phone down on the table next to Margaret's crossword book. She'd been working on the same puzzle since October, kept the pencil tucked in the spine. I picked it up, looked at her handwriting in the little squares. Neat, careful, the way she did everything, and set it back down. The clock above the stove read 8:14. I put on my coat and drove to the hospital. Margaret was awake when I got there. Room 318 at Health Sciences North. I knew the path from the parking garage to her room so well, I didn't need to look where I was going anymore. 7th floor button, right out of the elevator. 3rd door on the left. She had the television on low. Some nature documentary about the Arctic. Polar bears moving across ice. You're late tonight. She smiled when she saw me, but it cost her something. I could see that now, the way smiling cost her. Ran into traffic. She looked at me. We both knew there was no traffic in Sudbury at 8 o'clock on a Sunday in November. Did you eat? Had something earlier. I sat in the chair beside her bed, the blue vinyl one I'd dragged closer to the window weeks ago. Took her hand. Her wedding ring was loose. I'd noticed that 3 weeks back and hadn't said anything because there was nothing useful to say. Is Claire coming this week? Wednesday, I told her. She's coming Wednesday. Margaret turned back to the polar bears on the screen. Good, she said. That's good. She believed me. She always believed me. 41 years, and she never once caught me in a lie, because I'd never told her one. Until these past 11 days. 2 mornings later, I was back at the hospital when Dr. Arsenault pulled me into the corridor near the supply room. He was a careful man. Chose his words the way you'd choose where to step on thin ice. I want to be honest with you about the latest imaging, he said. I braced. The spread to her liver has accelerated. We're talking weeks now, not months. Possibly 2 to 3 weeks if she responds well to the palliative adjustments. He held my gaze. You should make sure the people who need to be here can get here. I'll call my daughter today, I said. Good. He put a hand on my shoulder briefly. Don't wait on this one. I waited until I was in the parking garage, concrete, cold, fluorescent lights buzzing, before I let myself stop moving. I sat in the car, didn't start it, just sat. A man walked past, pushing a cart of linen. A woman in scrubs ran for the elevator. Life moved around me like I was a stone in a river. 2 weeks. I started the car, and I called Claire. She picked up on the second ring. I could hear office sounds. Keyboards. Someone's muffled phone call down a hallway. Dad, I'm literally about to go into a meeting. Dr. Arsenal talked to me this morning. I kept my voice steady. 2 weeks, Claire, maybe 3. Silence. What? He said 2 to 3 weeks. Possibly less. A long pause. She exhaled. Okay. Okay. I hear you. That's okay. I hear you. That's okay. I have the Pemberton file due Thursday and the quarterly review as I waited. I have the Barcelona trip, she said finally. I didn't understand at first. What? The Barcelona trip? The conference. I've been telling you about it for months, Dad. My presentation is on the 14th. Everything's already booked. The 14th was 3 days away. Your mother has 2 weeks, I said. I know that. I heard you. But it's a 10-day trip and I've worked on this presentation for 4 months. My whole department is going. It's not just, I can't cancel this. The airline alone would. Claire. Dad, listen to me. She dropped her voice, precise and careful, the way she got when she was done negotiating. Mum isn't going to pass away in the next 10 days. You heard the doctor. 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be back in time. I'll come straight from the airport. I'll visit every day when I'm home, but this conference it's my career. It's important. You called your mother Mum. She hasn't heard your voice in 12 days and you're going to Barcelona. That's not fair. She's asking for you. Every day she asks. Then tell her, I send my love. I'll call her from Barcelona. I'll FaceTime. Dad, I can't keep lying for you. Then don't. She was sharp now. I'm an adult. I'm allowed to have a life. I'm allowed to have a career that doesn't stop every time there's a crisis. I'll come back and I'll be there. Okay? That has to be enough right now. The phone line clicked. I held the receiver against my chest for a long moment in that parking garage. I thought about the winter Claire was 14 and got appendicitis 3 days before Margaret's school choir concert. Margaret had been rehearsing with her grade 4 class for 2 months. She was the music teacher, had written 2 of the songs herself. She canceled everything, stayed at Claire's hospital bedside for 4 days, slept in the chair. When Claire was better, she never once mentioned the concert she'd missed. I drove back inside and sat with Margaret until visiting hours ended. The night Claire flew out, I was at the hospital. Margaret was awake, watching the same nature channel. Beluga whales this time. She called from the airport, I told her. Said she loves you. Said to give you a kiss. Margaret smiled. She's so busy. Don't be hard on her, Reg. That was what she said. Don't be hard on her. I held her hand, and I didn't say anything. I started taking notes that night. Not for any reason I'd fully formed yet. Just something in me needed to record it, the way a person saves receipts before they know there'll be a dispute. I wrote the date at the top of a yellow legal pad. November 14. Claire's flight departed 7:20 a.m. Pearson. Conference begins, Barcelona. Margaret asked for her at 11 a.m. and again at 3 p.m. I said she was in meetings. The next morning, Claire posted a photo on Facebook. I'd had my nephew show me how to see her posts without her knowing I was looking. She'd stopped sharing things directly with me a year ago. Said I didn't understand social media. The photo was the view from the hotel window. Gothic spires against a blue sky. Caption, finally here. 4 years coming. So grateful for this. I took a screenshot on my nephew's phone, printed it at the library. That was the first page of the folder. The folder grew. Day 2. Rooftop dinner photo. 11 colleagues raising glasses. The Sagrada Familia lit gold in the background. Laughing. Caption. The team that makes it all worth it. That day at the hospital, Margaret stopped eating solid food. Just the broth now, small sips. Day 3, conference hall, rows of chairs, presentation clicker in hand. Caption: presenting our Q4 projections to 200 industry leaders. Proud moment. That day, Dr. Arsenault pulled me aside again. Her liver function numbers had dropped overnight. He adjusted the medication. Comfort. Focus now, he said quietly. I drove home after midnight. Made tea. I didn't drink. Opened the laptop. I had called our family lawyer 2 days after Claire's flight, Victor Chambers. He'd handled our wills, our house purchase back in 1987, our incorporation when Margaret and I had briefly tried a bed and breakfast in the 90s. He picked up himself. Reg, I heard about Margaret. I'm so sorry. I need to make a change to the will, Victor. Emergency appointment, if you can. Come Thursday morning. I drove to his office on Elm Street. Old building, wide wood trim, the smell of coffee and paper. Victor had a calm that came from 30 years of sitting with people in the worst moments of their lives. I placed the folder on his desk, told him everything. The phone calls, the conference, the Facebook posts. The last thing Margaret had asked for when she was still lucid enough to ask clearly, "Where is Claire?" Victor read through the folder without speaking. Finally, he took off his glasses. "I've known your family since Claire was in primary school," he said. "I know. This is an irrevocable decision. She made her choice, Victor. I'm making mine." He was quiet for a moment. "Under Ontario law, you can disinherit an adult child. There's no mandatory share provision for children, the way there is in some other countries. You'll want to use explicit language, state clearly that the omission is intentional. And you'll need 2 witnesses, not family members. His assistant, a woman named Bev, and a colleague from down the hall served as witnesses. I signed. They signed. Victor pressed his seal. The estate value was $480,000. The house on Lorne Street, assessed last spring at $310,000. The joint savings account, $140,000. Margaret's small teacher's pension survivor benefit, roughly $30,000 residual value. The will redirected everything to establish the Margaret Howell Memorial Bursary at Laurentian University for students from Northern Ontario pursuing a degree in education, students who wanted to become teachers, students like Margaret had been at 20. Victor sealed the amended will in a manila envelope, handed it to me. "That's done," he said simply. I thanked him and left. At home, I went to Margaret's study. She'd had her own room for reading and marking papers long after she retired. Said old habits. Her shelves held 40 years of accumulated things. Ceramic apple students had given her. Class photos, every year framed and dated. A copy of Anne of Green Gables with a broken spine she'd replaced 3 times. On the bottom shelf, a box of Claire's school things she'd kept. Report cards, drawings, the paper crown from Claire's first Christmas pageant. I sat on the floor and opened the box. Grade 2 report card. Claire has a warm heart and looks out for her classmates. A pleasure to have in class. A drawing of our family. 4 figures. Margaret and I were tall with yellow hair, which neither of us had. Claire at 7. A red crayon smile stretching ear to ear. Below it, in a child's printing, "My mom is the best mom because she sings." I sat there a long time. Then I put the box back, closed the study door, and went to make dinner. The posts kept coming. Day 5, tapas restaurant. Candlelight. A glass of cava. Rest day. Sometimes you have to stop and taste the place. That day, Margaret slept 18 hours. The nurse on days, a quiet man named Gord, told me gently that she was turning inward. That was the word he used. Inward. Day 7, a cathedral. Stone columns and light pouring through colored glass. Some places make you feel small in the best way. That day, Margaret woke for 20 minutes and asked me to read to her. I read 3 chapters of the Alice Munro collection on her bedside table. Her eyes closed before I finished the 3rd. I kept reading anyway. Day 9. Group photo at some closing gala. Everyone in formal clothes. Champagne. Caption. What a week. These people. This work. I am so full of gratitude. My sister-in-law phoned me that afternoon from Timmins. She'd seen Claire's posts. Reg. Her voice was tight. I don't know how to ask this. Then just ask. June. Does Claire know how bad it is? I told her. Before she left, a silence. And she went anyway. Yes. Another silence, longer this time. I'll drive down tomorrow, she said finally. I'll stay as long as you need. June arrived the next morning with a pot of soup and no further mention of Claire. She sat with Margaret while I slept for 3 hours, the first real sleep I'd had in days. When I came back to the hospital, Margaret was awake, holding June's hand, the 2 of them watching a cooking show with the sound low. She squeezed my hand when I sat down. I missed you, she said. It felt like you were gone a long time. Only a few hours, honey. She nodded. Tell Claire I miss her. I will. Her eyes drifted back to the television. On day 10 of the trip, Claire posted a photo from the plane. Window seat, clouds below, coffee cup on the tray. Heading home. Recharged and ready. Conference was everything I'd hoped. Back to reality tomorrow. Tomorrow. I sat at the kitchen table that night with the folder open in front of me. 10 days. 31 posts. 0 calls to the hospital. 0 calls to me. 2 text messages after I'd reached out. The first said, "I'll check in soon," and the second, 4 days later, said, "How's she doing?" Followed by nothing when I replied that she was declining. I had printed all 31 posts. I had our text exchange on paper. I had the nursing notes I'd asked Gord to write. Not medical records, just a simple log he was willing to provide. Dates, Margaret's daily questions about Claire, the progression of her condition. I had June's account in writing. I had 3 messages from our neighbors and 2 from Margaret's former colleagues, all expressing confusion about Claire's absence. I organized the folder, tabbed sections, dated. Then I went upstairs to the guest room, the room Claire stayed in when she visited. I placed the envelope from Victor's office on the pillow. White envelope, her name written in my handwriting on the front. Claire. Open immediately. I went back downstairs. I made coffee. I waited. Her Uber pulled up at 9:40 p.m. I heard the car door, the key in the lock. She still had a key, had always had a key. The door opened and she came in trailing a carry-on, backpack over one shoulder, that particular energy of airports still on her. She looked toward the living room, saw me sitting in the chair by the window. "Hi, Dad." Not "how is she?" Not "is Mum okay?" Just "Hi, Dad. She's in the hospital." Where she's been. Claire set her backpack down. She was already defensive. "Look, I know you're upset, but I'm exhausted. 9-hour flight. Can we do this tomorrow?" "Go upstairs," I said. "There's something on the bed in the guest room." She looked at me strangely. "What is it?" "Go upstairs." She took her backpack and went. I heard her footsteps. The old staircase still had the same creak on the 4th step from the top. Had creaked since we moved in 1989, and I'd never fixed it. Margaret always said we should. We never did. I heard her reach the landing. The guest room door opening. Silence. Then the sound of the envelope tearing. More silence. Then what is this? Not a question. A statement. I sat in my chair and listened. Her footsteps came back fast, down the stairs. She appeared in the doorway to the living room, paper in her hand, face white. "Dad." "What is this?" I looked at her calmly. "You know what it is." "This is, you changed the will." She held it up. "Dad, this you can't." "I already did. November 17th. Victor Chambers. You know Victor. She stared at me. Her voice went strange. This is because I went to the conference. This is because your mother asked for you every single day you were gone, and you posted photos of tapas and galas and cathedral ceilings. I told you I'd be back. She's dying. My voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. She is dying right now, and you were posting gratitude captions. Claire's mouth opened. Something crossed her face, something she was trying to hold back. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. This conference was 4 years in the making. My whole team was there. If I'd canceled at the last minute, I've been at that hospital 16 hours a day for 3 weeks. I said it quietly. Every day. I lied to your mother every single day about where you were. I told her you were in meetings. I told her you sent your love. I told her you were coming soon. And she believed me because she's never once doubted that her daughter loves her. Claire flinched. I've known you your whole life, I continued. I was there the night you were born. I've loved you without condition for 40 years, and I am telling you now, as plainly as I can. What you did was not a misunderstanding. It was a choice. You chose that conference. You chose Barcelona. You chose 31 posts on social media about gratitude and fullness and being recharged. You made those choices while your mother stopped eating solid food. Don't. Claire's voice cracked. Don't do this. I leaned forward and opened the folder on the coffee table. I took out the first printed page and placed it facing her. November 14th, I said. Day 1. View from your hotel window. Finally here. 4 years coming. She looked at it. I placed the next one beside it. Day 2. The Sagrada Familia. The team that makes it all worth it. Dad, Day 3. I placed it. Your presentation. 200 industry leaders. She reached for one of the papers and then pulled her hand back. Day 5. I kept going. Rest day. Sometimes you have to stop and taste the place. That day, your mother slept 18 hours. The nurse told me she was turning inward. That's what he said. Inward. Claire sat down on the couch. Hard. Like something had left her legs. I placed them all, 31 pages, side by side, and stacked in rows across the coffee table. Then I placed our text exchange on top. Day 9, I said. I texted you that she was declining. You said, how's she doing? And then nothing. I didn't know how fast. You didn't ask. I said it simply. You had my number. You had the hospital's number. Gord at the nurse's station answered every time I called. You never asked. The room was quiet, except for the rain outside, which had started up again. November rain. Claire picked up one of the Barcelona photos. Her own smiling face looked up at her. The gala, the champagne. She set it back down. I want to contest this, she said finally. Her voice was very small. I'll get a lawyer. You'll get a lawyer who will tell you that Victor Chambers is the best estate solicitor in Northern Ontario, and that under Ontario law, what I've done is entirely sound. You're welcome to try, but the documentation in that folder will become part of the public record. She looked at the folder. The estate, I continued, has been directed to establish a bursary at Laurentian. In your mother's name. For students from Northern Ontario who want to become teachers. Students who value what they're being given. That's where the money is going. Her face did something complicated. Tears, yes, but something harder underneath. How much? She said quietly. For $80,000. She closed her eyes. You didn't earn this, I told her. Not through these choices. She didn't answer. I stood. She looked up. Your mother asked about you this evening. I called the ward before you arrived. She asked the nurse on nights if Claire was coming tomorrow. Claire's breath caught. I told the nurse to tell her yes, and then, I don't know what made me say it, what broke loose in that moment after weeks of holding everything together. My voice finally shifted, just slightly. Not collapse, just change. I stood there, looking at my daughter sitting amid 31 photographs of her own absence, and I said, "She's been waiting for you. Every day she's been waiting. And I cannot tell you how tired I am of watching her wait." I walked to the door and put on my coat. "Where are you going?" Her voice followed me. "To the hospital. To sit with my wife." She started to cry then, real crying, not performance. I heard it as I opened the front door. I stopped with my hand on the knob. "Come tomorrow," I said without turning around. "Come in the morning. Whatever is between us, that can wait. But go see your mother. That can't." I drove the familiar route in the rain. Parking garage, elevator, 7th floor, 3rd door. Gord was at the nurse's station. Gave me a nod. Margaret was sleeping. I sat in the blue vinyl chair, took her hand, watched her breathe. The monitor beeped its soft rhythm. Snow had started mixing with the rain outside the window, the first of the season early this year. She stirred slightly. Didn't open her eyes. Just squeezed my hand, very gently, the way she'd been doing since we were 23 years old. I sat there and held on. Claire came in the morning, just after 7. I was still in the chair, had dozed for maybe 2 hours. I heard the door and looked up, and there was my daughter, coat still on, no makeup, eyes swollen from a night of not sleeping. She looked at her mother. Then she pulled up the other chair, the stiff one from the corner that nobody ever used, and she sat down on Margaret's other side. Reached across and took her other hand. Margaret opened her eyes. The look on her face when she saw Claire. I won't try to describe it. Some things don't survive description. "My girl," she said. Just that. My girl. Claire bent forward and put her forehead on her mother's hand, and cried without making any sound at all. I looked out the window. Snow still coming down, light and quiet, covering the parking lot in something clean. Margaret passed 4 days later, on a Thursday morning, at 6:48 a.m. Claire was there. I was there. June was there. It was quiet, the way she would have wanted. We buried her on a Monday, at the cemetery on Ramsey Lake Road where her parents were buried, where the maples were bare now and the snow had settled permanently. 60 people came. Former students, colleagues, neighbors, the couple from the church she'd volunteered with for 15 years. People said things about her that were true. I stood at the lectern and spoke for 7 minutes. I talked about 41 years with a person who was, genuinely, better than me in every way that mattered. I talked about her students. I talked about her students. I talked about the bursary. I did not look at Claire during the service. Afterward, at the reception at the church hall, Claire came and stood beside me. We didn't say anything for a while. People moved around us. Finally, she said, "I should have been there sooner. From the beginning." "Yes." "I'm sorry, Dad." "I know." Another silence. "What happens now?" she asked. "Between us." I considered that. "I don't know yet," I said. "I think that depends on you. Not on what you say, on what you do." She nodded. Accepted that without argument, which was something. In February, I received a letter from Laurentian University confirming the formal establishment of the Margaret Howell Memorial Bursary. First year of awards, 6 students. Northern Ontario, education faculty, demonstrating financial need and a commitment to teaching in underserved communities. The first recipient was a 20-year-old from Kapuskasing, whose mother worked at the grocery store and who wanted to teach primary school. I sat at the kitchen table with the letter and Margaret's coffee mug, the ceramic one with the chip and the handle that she'd refused to throw away for 12 years. I held the mug and I read the names of the 6 students aloud to the empty kitchen. Slowly, one at a time. The lamp was on. I'd started turning it on again.